Have you ever noticed that relationships can bring you the most joy in life, but they can also cause you the most pain?
Yes, on this episode, listen in and join us on staying on the high road. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Why You Worried About It. I am Lindsay Bush, the HR Director with Country Crossroads Counseling.
And hey, everybody, it's Susie Arbo. I'm a licensed professional counselor. We're on this journey to a better you, and we have been excited to talk to you guys again. It's so fun to hear people. The other day, I got a text message and it was from a really awesome lady. You know her, Lindsay Sue Hilton. Just an
Oh, yeah.
amazing, yeah. She's awesome. But she said, I'm listening to your podcast right now. I just love it.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. And it's fun to hear
Yeah,
people, and we need to get her on the show sometime. So.
that would be
Uh,
fun.
yeah, absolutely. But we are a work in progress, just like everybody else. We are into personal and professional development where we just keep growing and learning. You know, on this show, we love to talk about things that you should worry about and things that you shouldn't worry about, and how sometimes our human brain gets caught up in this worry, and then it ruins the quality of our life.
Yep. And I giggled almost when you said that we are also a work in progress because Lord, we all know I am struggling. So you guys, honestly, maybe you guys are just on the journey of Lindsay's therapy session with Susie every week, but I appreciate you guys joining, and I know I get something out of it every single week. So
Me too.
I love it, and I love the feedback. I love hearing from everybody, letting us know that we've got stuff going on too, right? Like life is hard, life is crazy, and we wouldn't want it any other way though. Perfect isn't feasible. It's not normal. And how boring would that be? But if we can do a little bit to just do a little bit better every day, like then we're doing good. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
So thanks for listening, guys. And please let us know if there's things you want to hear about or things maybe you want us to touch on again. Let us know. If you want to be on the show, we want to have you. We love our guests. So reach out,
Yeah.
let us know.
That's right. And I just want to give a shout out to people who have purchased the Better You workbook.
So
It's called The
good.
Journey Towards a Better You. And we're very proud of that. And it's so fun to hear people getting help through the workbook. And I'm blown away by everybody purchasing them. And Lindsay did all the graphics in there and all of
Yeah.
that. And so that's awesome. So I appreciate that, Lindsay. And
Very cool.
be looking for more of that for sure. And that was we kind of covered that during the therapy isn't for everybody,
Mhm.
that there's other ways to get help, and so it's kind of a good thing. And we heard a lot of positive feedback about that episode. Today, I'm excited because we are relational beings as humans. We live for our personal relationships that we have with people. And, I know some people are very introverted and some people are very extroverted. Some people are a mixture of both. There's no right or wrong. We need everybody just the way that you are. Sometimes I talk to people and they're like, I just want to move out to a place where I don't have to interact with people and do people and whatever. And some people are just like that, and that's okay, right? But most people find a lot of joy and satisfaction in their personal relationships. And I always say relationships can be, the things that make us the happiest in life, but also they can cause us the most pain and the most hurt.
Mhm. Yeah, and what's funny when you're talking about that actually, and I know that like I'm such a relational like person and being, and maybe you'll have a little insight on this, but like I put so much in relationships with other people that I feel like I've not done a good job of having a relationship with myself. And I know that sounds kind of crazy, but like I feel like right now I'm in this transitional period of my life and I'm like really struggling where I put a lot of eggs in the basket of how my relationships are with other people, and that should not be what's defining me, and I know that, but I'm not doing a great job of knowing that, like living that every day. So like even just the relationship with yourself is so important to make sure that you're going through all of those changes and being true to yourself.
Hmm. That self-love, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And having compassion for yourself and being kind to yourself and all of that is such a huge thing. And Lindsay, I'm so glad you just said that, because self-awareness, you know what I mean? Just being aware of kind of where we're at with our own relationship with ourselves and
Hmm.
others is a huge, huge, huge thing. And so the fact that, that's a good step right there.
Yeah.
So that's good. That's really good. Um, so one of the things we kind of wanted to talk about today is sometimes there are seasons of our lives
Hmm.
where maybe are super close to somebody, right? And they're just a really good friend and whatnot. And then life just kind of happens and people get busy or they kind of change or you change and maybe you aren't as close to them anymore, but you kind of still expect that, that close relationship and maybe they've kind of moved on. So we kind of want to talk about that. We also want to talk about sometimes people um write people off, if you will, because they don't see eye to eye with them or because they don't maybe, yeah, agree, or maybe they, have some kind of like thing that they're upset about. And then I've seen relationships just like end or be destroyed or just somebody write somebody off and they don't even give them that opportunity to have a conversation and to work things out.
A simple
And
conversation, right?
mhm,
Can change so much. I think
absolutely.
people
It
are
it
afraid of feelings. I mean, if I'm being honest, people don't want to go through those feelings. They just want, it's easier, they think, to be mad, and just stand on that. They're going to die on that hill. When really it's like, okay, maybe a little conversation, you could see something completely differently.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. And trying to understand, and do you remember we talked about emotional intelligence on here?
Hmm.
And we did the empathy exercise or whatever, but just trying to understand maybe why somebody is coming from that point of view, you know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
why they're doing what they're doing and kind of being curious about it, if you will, and asking questions and trying to understand. And then just to be okay with the fact that people are not going to behave the way that we would behave. And I think that's one of the hardest things in life is that we just, and I know I'm guilty of it all the time. I just expect people, well, this is what I would do,
Yeah.
so why isn't Lindsay doing this, or
Yep.
whatnot. And it's very easy to kind of fall into that. And that's something that I'm constantly working on is okay, this person is their own individual. They're gonna handle the
Hmm.
situation in just the way that they feel because of how they were raised or their earlier life experiences of how they would handle that situation.
Yep. That's making me, we just spoke on it the other day. I got to present with you, but it's making me go straight to cultural humility. Like if
Oh
anybody
yeah.
wants to look up cultural humility, like literally, yes, that's between cultures and things too, but that's with people just in general, instead of being judgmental or so, it's switching your thought and being inquisitive, curious. Why? Tell me more of why you feel that way, right? Like not just I'm right, you're wrong, because when you do that, you're shut off and you're closed off. But when you come to things with more curiosity of tell me more of why you feel that way, that's interesting, I've never looked at it that way, or just kind of changing the way
Mhm.
you approach things like that is so it's really cool. Cultural humility, if you guys haven't looked into it, it's been around a long time, but it's not quite the buzzword like DEI and those kind of things are. But check it out because it's really really important to a lot of people think they know what other people do or think or think they understand just because of a certain background or a culture or whatever, however they grew up. But you don't know, especially if you don't ask, you don't know.
Absolutely. Keeping an open mind. You know what
Hmm.
I mean? And like you said, getting curious and I feel like it's such a good quality to be
Hmm.
that way. And
Yes.
if you are in a family, if you work in a business, if you are a leader, that is a life skill, that
Hmm.
can completely help you in so many different relationships
Yeah.
and
And
whatnot.
yeah.
And just those conflict resolution skills, like
Hmm.
working things out. Life is too short to throw away an amazing relationship or not have a relationship with somebody because of a disagreement. And there's certain things right now I even feel like going on, Lindsay, that we've had people that are close to us that kind of are going through some things and yeah. So it kind of hits close to home, doesn't it?
Yeah, and thinking of it too, like think about how you would be portrayed to a person, or flip it and think about if me and you get it, we disagree. If you came to me and you said, "Lindsay, you're wrong. That's not right. This is what it's going to be." Whatever, I immediately am going to be like, "Ooh, Susie's, kind of aggressive, or maybe depending on how you say it, or she's hateful, or she doesn't want to understand me." But if you came to me and you said, well, that's interesting, Lindsay. Like I never looked at it that way. Let's talk about it and let's see if we can like figure it out together. That makes me come at it and go, you know what? I'm not afraid of Susie. Like I'm going to come to
Hmm.
Susie and we're going to talk about things, and it makes things a lot different opposed to having somebody that can be very aggressive and very like in your face and tell you those things. Like that's kind of your character. So how
Hmm.
you're responding to people is how they're going to portray or perceive you, and then that's how it's going to keep moving forward. Like your future relationship with this person is going to be based off some of these things. And we're not all made to agree all the time. Like I
Mhm.
said earlier, that would be so boring. Like diversity and having all these opinions and all these things, that's what makes life.
Mhm.
But it's how you handle it and how you talk to each other. And I think that makes a big difference on how people respect you, and
Mhm.
how you build those long lasting relationships.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you kind of touched on it without saying the words, but psychological safety.
Hmm.
Psychological safety is really about creating an atmosphere, whether it's with your family, your friend group, your coworkers, that kind of stuff, that people can talk to you even about the hard stuff.
Hmm.
And as humans, we like to avoid things. We like to avoid the hard things, and we call it
What?
escapism. We could do a whole episode on healthy versus unhealthy escapisms for
What?
sure. I love talking about it, but for real, when we can create that psychological safety,
Hmm.
and I think it really starts, and if you're out there and you're kind of thinking, well, what can I do? Maybe I'm in this spot or in this situation. You know what? You can go to that person, or you can role model this for other people to say, hey, you know what? I'm curious about this, or I'm concerned about this. I would love to talk with you about this and learn more. I'd love to figure out a spot, a way
Hmm.
that we could work through this, or a way that we could talk about this and have a good conversation.
Yeah.
You setting the tone for that is everything.
Hmm.
And just even using those I statements, I feel a certain way when blank, I'm really needing or wanting to talk this through with you. Like
Yeah.
you being that good communicator is so huge. And I always talk about I statements when I talk about communication with crowds and whatnot. And whenever we come at somebody and we always say, something like, you never listen to me, or you do this, or you do that, the other person gets on the defense. And
Hmm.
then it just isn't a productive conversation. So when you can share how you're feeling, and then also when you offer solutions, right? What can
Hmm.
we do about this? And it's okay that we have all of our big feelings. It's okay that maybe we're upset. It's okay that we're hurt. Those are all feelings that God gave us. However, we just want to work on not staying stuck in especially the
Hmm.
negative ones. And so what are you going to do, and whatnot. So I do think that if there is relationships out there that are strained or maybe aren't doing well, that is something to be concerned about, especially
Hmm.
if both parties are good people with a
Hmm.
good heart, you know what I mean, and mean well, and maybe you've had a relationship for many, many years. I really just encourage you to be the one to initiate that conversation with people and to talk things through with them. Now, you might be saying, but I have somebody that is really toxic or is very, you know what I mean, not healthy, right? Like that kind of person. And we all know there are some people out there that
Sure.
truly are not just maybe are maybe malicious or aren't very good people to you or whatnot. And so you need to be the judge of that, and maybe you need to keep them at arm's length and whatnot. But I'm going to tell you, it's very, very few percentage of the population
Hmm.
that actually wake up every day to say, man, I'm going to hurt somebody. Or
Yeah.
man, I'm going to be a really terrible person today.
No.
A lot of times those few percentage that are those
Yeah.
people, those are the people we find in our prisons and our, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
It's not going to be your day to day. And
right.
that too, that's what makes me think of it. These are going to be people that maybe you have a coworker or a boss or somebody that you struggle with. It's kind of the day to day. My kid, I went to Brogan. Like when his mind is made up, that boy, I am not telling him any different. But how many times have I pulled the "I'm your mom, you're going to listen to me" card when really I could go, "Well, buddy, why do you think like that?" Or tell me why you want to do it that way. And maybe he might have a different, he might come around and actually tell me why. And maybe I might have to put my foot down, but still, it's interesting to see why are people doing things the way they do, and there might be a reason behind it that you didn't even know. So I think that's really important. You can use it in any relationship. And I think I
Hmm.
challenge people to, if because I think everybody can probably think of somebody that's like, oh, I don't even want to deal with it, or
Hmm.
I don't want to have this battle or whatever. I challenge you to just maybe step back and try a different approach. Try a
Hmm.
different approach. Just ask maybe in a different way. Maybe don't say no. Challenge yourself to not say it in that way like you always do. Do something a little different.
Hmm. Yeah. Yep. Yep. Absolutely. And remember too that relationships, they do bring us a lot of joy. You know what I mean? Like when we are with quality people, that we have fun with, that we can be ourselves, that we can laugh with, that we can cry with, that, sometimes like we don't see eye to eye, but we work through it, like that is such a beautiful thing in life. And
Mhm.
so yeah, so I think our challenge today is going to be to kind of look at the different relationships in your life, and just know that it's normal to have like an ebb and flow, that sometimes you have certain friends or family or whatnot, that you're super close to, and then sometimes, that people might change, that kind of stuff. However, um, know that relationships are worth investing in and having those meaningful conversations with. So is somebody out there that you've been maybe just kind of thinking about or maybe struggling with, and is it time to have one of those curious conversations and just see what solutions maybe you guys could try to to feel better about things?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Lindsay, I was just thinking about this too. What do we think about when people maybe you're open to having these conversations, but the
Mm.
other people aren't, right? Maybe they're
Yeah.
closed down, like maybe they're not going to want to co-parent with you, or maybe they're not going to want to, you know what I mean, like have
Mhm.
that, that talk with you because maybe they
Yeah.
are just in a not good spot themselves. What would you say about that?
I definitely like, and I'm not I don't have a master's. We know that.
Mhm.
I'm struggling with a lot of things, but I and Susie's helped me with this and a couple of the books we've read, but staying on the high road
Hmm.
is really helpful. Knowing that even though it'd be easier to fight fire with fire, or it might feel better in the moment, that's not going to be a good long-term goal. My goal, especially I'm hopeful. I'm always hopeful that things are going to
Hmm.
get better. The second I decide that I'm not going to try anymore, then I feel like I'm giving up, especially when it comes to like co-parenting or things that involve
Hmm.
children. Like I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that I'm being the best role model and doing the things that I can do to make sure relationships are healthy, first and foremost, but also just pleasant. And I think for me, it's reiterating that all the time, reiterating if it's somebody that, you might not be ready for this conversation right now, or, hopefully one day we can get there. I'm open whenever you're ready to talk.
Hmm.
Things like that, I think go a long way because you're kind of giving it back to them and giving them a little bit of that power. And then it doesn't feel as heavy on you. It's like
Hmm.
you can go on, you can live your life, stay on that high road. And when they're ready, then you come back around to it.
Hmm. Yep, yep. And I've never regretted treating somebody with kindness.
Mm-mm.
And
No.
I even think back to like, growing up I had a speech impediment and I stuttered and I got bullied right and left by some really mean girls, and I always treated them nice.
Yeah.
Right. I always was known for being nice and keep going, keep moving forward, and I'm still gonna smile at you and whatever. And I just feel like in life you'll never regret
No.
being the bigger person, you know what I mean, and still trying to initiate those conversations. And if the other parties aren't interested, then you know what, they're missing
Yeah.
out on a really cool, amazing human,
Hmm.
and that's on them. But you keep that door open for them. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
mhm.
I agree.
It makes me think of we're talking about relationships. Merle's grandpa wasn't a part of his life, growing up. His parents split, that kind of thing. And then, he kept sending birthday cards. He kept that door open, and then when it was the right time for Merle, then he did go back and have years with him as far as just with a relationship and that kind of thing. And so
Hmm.
sometimes just being that good person, keeping that door open, and taking that high road, you can sleep at night knowing that you're doing everything you can.
Yeah, you won't regret taking the high road. You'll regret when you pop off and say something that you probably shouldn't have, or might have felt good in the moment, but when you think about it, when you're using that emotional side of your brain, right, Susie? Like
Hmm.
when you start thinking logical, you're probably going to question, should I have done it? Should I not? But I promise you, on the high road, you're not gonna. Nope.
Yep.
Might be lonely sometimes up here on the high road, but keep cruising.
Yep. That's right. That's right. Well, I feel like a great episode today, Lindsay, and we've
Yeah.
got some really fun things happening for at Country Crossroads. Next week, we're actually hosting a live panel on Facebook.
Yay.
We've got some clinicians that are going to be answering some questions, and people are getting really excited about that. So, be paying attention to that episode. Is going to be really cool. We're going to post it on Facebook, so that's where you'll find that one. And we got the gala coming up on
I am so
February
excited.
14th.
Yes, definitely. You want to check it out. That's guys, it's just the best night out. It's such a good fun date night this year. It's actually on Valentine's Day. How fun is that?
Mhm.
So if you don't have a date, you can come be my date. I will set with all of you. But come
Yeah.
and join us at the gala, and it's raising money for our nonprofit, which is Country Crossroads Cares. It helps so many people across I mean counties now receive
Mhm.
help that maybe they couldn't afford, or honestly just kind of going through a hard time, financial stress, really anything. We just this has been a really really cool way. I mean, we've done thousands of sessions now with this, just with cares
Mhm.
alone. So I know we're all very passionate about it, and we're super excited for the. It's the best event, guys. You don't want to miss it.
It is. And also now our cares is really doing a lot of crisis work.
Mhm.
So we're jumping in and the minute, and obviously we don't want a disaster or a crisis or a bad thing to happen, but they do. And when they do happen, we are here. We've been sending counselors into lots of situations and giving lots of people healing and hope through that. So you can support anyway. And we never solicit anything. We say come and have an experience with us. Have the live music and the bingo and all the things or whatever. That's we want fellowship. We want to raise awareness about mental health. So you guys, we're so grateful to be on this journey with you, and so we are glad that you're listening today.
Yes, thank you. Follow us on Facebook. It's Country Crossroads Counseling, and then always on our website, countrycrossroadscounseling.com.